Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to Rise Up After Dark. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd. We are almost to the 50th official episode in all places of After Dark. Can't believe it. It's wild. And we are here with one of our favorite recurring guests, Evin McMullen. She is formerly the co-founder of Bravado ID and Disco. You've heard her talk about decentralized identity, the need for privacy, for verifiability, and I cannot wait to talk to her tonight about billions. So Evin McMullen, thank you for being here. Welcome back to Rise Up After Dark. How are you?
GM, another beautiful day on chain. It is great to see you guys. Thank you so much for having me back to the party.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. Where in the world do we find you? What's going on with you?
I'm calling in from beautiful Santa Monica, California today on behalf of my team at Billions Network, which is the first universal human and AI network built with mobile first verification. So what that means is that you can prove who you are, the fact that you're a person and not a bot, for example, from the comfort of your own device, using your phone, using the desktop computer that you have already at home. And so we've brought these capabilities to a variety of different applications and partners around the world, now supporting a community of over 1.7 million users.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I also want to ask you about just generally like the human and AI network. I think that's really cheeky and clever and cute and fun. But I'm curious, 1.7 is like a huge number of real human users. Are all those users, first of all, human, or are some of them like verified AI?
So we think about what we call progressive verification, which allows an account or an address to prove sort of increasing granularity of data about itself. So starting off with the address itself and maybe social handles that it's associated with, and then you can sort of escalate in the intensity or detail of data, including the fact that you are a human being and not a bot or an agent. The fact that you're a unique human being is sort of the next step up of granularity and specificity, all the way to things like KYC and anti-money laundering. So that's sort of much more detailed and specific information. And so depending on the activity that someone was trying to accomplish using billions, that may inform the level of granularity of data that they have around their address. So of the 1.7 million addresses that have verified some level of granularity, they all sort of fall on that spectrum.
Got it. Okay. So they may or may not be human. They may or may not be bots or like some, but where they're distinct users that we have an identity for through this.
Exactly. And so what we have not yet publicly released, but we've shared a bit about the framework in our building with partners, is what we call deep trust. So the ability to assign a unique identity to an instance of an AI agent, so that your agent can prove that it's really your agent and not some bot or deep fake that is pretending to act on your behalf.
Oh my gosh. When are we going to get this at scale, like in all the applications that we use every day?
So we're working very diligently to make that day happen as quickly as we can. And right now are building with a number of select partners.
To me. Good. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, all good. I think my internet just froze a little bit there.
It's okay. Evan. Other Evan, not you, Evan. It's Evan, not
good.
Evan.
We're working hand in hand with teams around the ecosystem who are interested in authentication for agents, or agents that act on behalf of businesses or on behalf of government entities, folks who really want to be able to make sure that the parties they're interacting with feel safe and are having secure experiences that are improved by AI, as opposed to adding a bunch of risk and discomfort to their experience.
I may have missed it because we cut out, but did you say like a timeline for when we could expect it, like at scale, or even to start seeing it in some of the models that we interact with? Like in terms of like websites, agents, that kind of thing?
I think in the next 24 months, some level of agent reputation and authentication needs to be adopted at scale. Partly because if stablecoin payments, or machine money, as you might call it, is going to rise in popular usage and institutional usage for agentic workflows, then those agents need to know who it is that they're paying with these stable coins. It seems like a pretty simple conclusion there, but if we want agents to interact with one another, they have to be able to prove who they are interacting on behalf of.
Yeah, of course. We got to be able to verify it. And when we were setting up just your return to the show, this is a you've been talking about for years, and that we've reintroduced to our audience. So maybe honestly, this would be a good moment to just like back it up for people who are new, especially if you're tuning into this show, this live stream for the first time. You're curious or concerned about artificial intelligence, the advancement of it, the ability to tell what's real and what's fake online, the ability to protect your intellectual property, or just the ability to have more comfort and certainty. Can you just speak to like the state of things and also maybe some of the solutions? We always tell people that like, you've heard of people who watch our show, they've heard of AI, cryptocurrencies. It's kind of like a hype trend for the last couple of years, but we often say that AI really needs the kind of certainty that only blockchain can provide. And I can't think of a better person to just take us back to the beginning and express that problem again and the solutions for it than you. Would you take us there?
Certainly. Let's run it back. So if we think about artificial intelligence and the opportunity space or design space that's opened up with generative technologies, we are talking about solutions that are stochastic, that are non-deterministic, that can, intake a broad variety of information and execute multi-step logic instead of just a sort of a static script like a bot. And have the ability to generate many different potential outputs, some of which can be tailored based on the data that we bring to the table. However, that infinite generation is only as useful as its ability to fit into our current landscape, where accountability is required for parties that are acting on behalf of individuals, and where some amount of risk management and legal compliance still has to exist, despite the fact that we are building at the frontier of technology. And so with that in mind, I think, as you noted, there's no better technology than decentralized ledgers that are deterministic, contrasting to the non-deterministic nature of AI, that allow for verifiable payments in a decentralized manner where any party that can control a private key can facilitate peer-to-peer payments. And so I think crypto is, of course, the logical set of payment rails best suited for the agentic economy. However, bringing these two technologies together in a manner that doesn't sound like, the setup for a joke with two, very popular buzzwords, means that we have to focus on, these technologies as fundamental building blocks and tools, and not, silver bullets for any particular, set of challenges.
Sure.
So
go ahead, Alex.
I think one of the things that I wanted to get your maybe a different answer about, or I should say the same answer said differently. I think that this is one of those things that you can find a gajillion different, by this thing, I mean kind of the all-encompassing, area of the space in which you're building solutions for, where there are so many different ways that you could conceptualize the problem that's being solved for people. I mean, a gajillion different instances wherein we've run into problems with identity and privacy and not secrecy, but like, things that you would maybe want to obfuscate that maybe are harder to do, or things that like are total runaway trains. That's the kind of the way I think about it. So I wanted to get your thoughts on two things. One, is there something specific that kind of, because you've done so much work in this area, is there something specific that pushed you into this particular like solution world? And then two, oh my God.
He's dying. He's actively dying. We lost him. We had a lot of episodes together. I was really glad to be his friend, but
We had a good run, and then a sneeze almost took me out. We're good. Sorry, Evan. No, I'll do
All good.
One at a time. I was genuinely curious with if there was something that kind of pushed you into this, just because there's so many different things that you've worked on, like in this area, and then the follow up was just I wanted to get your opinion on some of these things that I feel like desperately need solutions, but feel like they're kind of runaway trains to me, wherein the problem has gotten so big and so far away from a potential solution. I'm thinking like, not a 10 minutes goes by without hearing about another monumental data breach. I feel like I've gotten 2 notifications this week about my social security number being compromised or having to go change passwords to all my Google everything because of another massive breach. And I'm wondering, all the different areas where that runaway train infects, like, do you think that we have a chance of recovery? Just to try to get some of it back, I guess.
We can't ask if we have a chance because we don't have a choice, dude.
That's fair.
We, I think find ourselves in a very vulnerable but fascinating moment in the development of the internet that requires teams like ours to have a big, aggressive vision. Like when we, come to work every day with Billions Network, our mission is to save the internet in the age of AI, because more than half of online traffic today comes from unidentified, unaccountable bots and non-human actors. Like, we have to get very serious about what a scalable technology can look like. That's accessible to everybody, that doesn't destroy the rest of what's left of the internet, but also doesn't put, technical developers and business owners in an unreasonable position for compliance. Like, there are some regulatory bodies out here that are telling every website with, content for users over the age of 18 that they need to be collecting copies of passports and stashing them in, a centralized database. Like, that is bananas. These businesses were not built to do those activities. And so there are logical, thoughtful ways that we can make the internet a safe and verifiable place. But if we don't act quickly, then unreasonable regulations and solutions are going to start, coming into play more and more.
I think I love the way that you answered this at the jump. Like, it's not about what the chance is, it's about whether or not we have a choice. I think the part that I get hung up on, because I totally agree, and that's one of my least favorite arguments against anything, like attempt a solution at something. Well, it's not going to be 100% perfect, so why bother giving it a shot at all? I hate that. So I completely agree with. I think the part that hangs me up is like, if I think about, one example, the whole 23andMe thing, and I don't mean them specifically, but the whole idea of like sending in my DNA, it's logged in someone's thing. And there's now, I guess, more recently with 23andMe specifically, a lot of questions about like, hey, let's look at your terms and conditions and what kind of options you have. But for people who have already like logged the DNA or the genetic profile with that, I wonder like, well, shit, it's out there. Like, now what am I going to do? It's not like I can get a fresh genetic profile and then not send this one to that greedy company. But maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's fair to say like, damage that has been done, but we can stop contributing to it or sending more and more and more and more and more to these people who will just sell every piece of us that they can forever.
I think that's accurate. And I think it also, creates a significant amount of risk for the businesses that are in the position to hold and manage this data. So you mentioned 23andMe. That's an instance in which, centralized data assets are in a position of business value that also happen to be personally identifiable information about users. And so if we facilitate technical architecture where users remain in control of that data, then we never sort of build up that asset in a centralized fashion that can be compromised. However, you can logically decentralize you can physically decentralize data while still logically centralizing its control and access. And I think that's what technology like Billions Network makes possible, being able to leverage data at scale without treating it as a singular data asset and controlling it in that manner.
Sorry, quick note, Evan, sorry, quick pause. If you're listening on TikTok, there seems to be just a small sound issue, but the report coming from Tori, thank you, Tori, is that the big stream elsewhere is doing well. So if you want to hop over and look at us on Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube, they all seem to be doing well.
And if you can hear me, I think I've been lost somewhere in sort of electromagnetic internet storm because, oh, it sounds terrible over here. I'm so sorry, you guys. It's a fascinating conversation, and I'm only catching every other word. So carry on, please. I'll find you eventually, I promise.
Okay. It's okay. Yeah. So just let me know over here. And for all of you guys on TikTok, I appreciate the help in the comments, just directing people to the places where it's working. Evan, sorry to derail at the very end there. So just to pick us back up again, when I was curious if there was anything specific or singular for you that like really hit home with like why this is so important to you, because obviously it's very easy to sit here and this is one of the most relatable problems ever. It's happened to me a ton of times. I've had so many scam attempts, so many, thank God, knock on something wooden. My identity has not been stolen, which is crazy considering how much of me is on the internet. I think about that every day. And I mean, just these scams and all that kind of stuff is getting more and more and more prevalent. But was there something that just like hit it for you that, made you think I have to work on this?
There have been so many instances throughout my life, both personal and professional, where exactly as you described, I've come up, in contact with or in frustration with the process of verifying my identity, whether that's updating government documents like a driver's license or a passport, or whether that's, having to assemble proofs of documentation to do things like rent an apartment or travel, to start a business, to be able to, interact with other businesses, to be able to, facilitate payments on chain. There are all of these different interactions where we rely on legacy systems, on insecure systems. And so that's also part of why we think at Billions Network, it's really important to support numerous different types of verification. So I saw Evan had shared a question in the chat before he flew off into the great electric wonder.
Yeah, he's off to fight the internet, so we'll keep it driving.
Excellent. Well, in his absence, we can cover that question. He was asking, Billions asks human users to verify with a passport. What's the difference between this passport verification and I assume, other solutions in the market that we had discussed before? Right. Why should a user feel better about giving their passport to Billions than at any other company?
Right.
So the nice thing is that when you use your passport to verify your identity with the Billions native mobile application, you're not actually giving your passport to Billions. That data is staying safely on your device under your consent and control. And then the Billions tools, the application and infrastructure on your device, then make it easy for you to generate a zero knowledge proof based on the information from your passport. So what that means is that Billions does not have the ability to see or interact with any of that original passport data.
I want to drill on this for just a second because we've mentioned ZK. You've done beautiful explanations on the show in the past about ZK, zero knowledge. And it's one of those things that I think is like, unfortunately, quite complex, but also just so happens to be one of the more important things that is being worked on. Like when we say the tech is good, and so it's worth paying attention to some parts of this industry, this is like the thing I'm talking about. So I wonder if we can just spend a second and kind of break down the whole ZK thing just a little bit in terms of, what does that mean that you don't have to look at my information? How exactly, can we kind of help people visualize who may have not read about or talked about ZK anything before without just doing a math dissertation? How is that even possible that like I can have a piece of important information verified by something and then have the undeniable proof that I have done that be used in the place of me continuing to give you all of my information? The example that we usually give would be showing your driver's license to a bouncer at a bar in a way that you can just prove that I am old enough to come in here, but you don't get to see my home address and a lot of like very personal information about me physically that could be used, my full legal name, all this other stuff.
That is exactly it. So zero knowledge proofs, ZK proofs, are basically mathematical processes, math that you can perform on an encrypted set of data. So data that you cannot see or interact with directly, but you can basically ask questions to that data. And you can prove that the answers to those questions are correct, even if you can't see the data itself. So precisely as you described, you could prove that you are over the age of 21 to enter into an adults only, physical or digital space without revealing what your birthday is, or all of the other sensitive personal information that goes along with something like a driver's license.
So who are we showing that to? Because at some point in the mix, something has to at least get that information to be able to store the fact that, like, okay, we can confirm that it's true. And now we're going to shield it, protect it, whatever, and not show it to everyone. So at some point in the equation, someone's got to see it, right?
So the party seeing the information, such as your age, is going to be you in this scenario. So let's say you download the Billions native mobile application, you take your passport, tap it to your phone. The Billions app extracts the government signature from that data. So it doesn't see any of the sensitive personal data about you, but make sure that that data was packed up and signed by a real government and hasn't been tampered with at all. So that means that all of the enclosed data, the data about you in that particular document, is going to be correct, verifiable, and reliable. And so then based on the application itself, then you can generate a proof from the original information in your passport that stays on your device. You can generate that proof that you are over a certain age. And then you can take that proof and prove to, let's say, a website, another application, even a person in physical space, that you are over that certain age. So one example of a place where this technology is already sort of underway and being, developed at scale is in our work with the European Commission. So our age verification tools that rely just on, a beautiful image of your smiling face and not even the sort of depth of government documentation, that's being incorporated into the European Commission's blockchain sandbox. And so that's basically a variety of different technologies that are being showcased in the EU to demonstrate secure ways to do things like age verification.
So then, of course, I guess it kind of comes down to standardizing acceptance of information and data stored through zero knowledge. Because I guess someone could say, like, no, I don't accept that. I need to look at it myself.
That is true. However, a lot of different applications and services are like, we don't want to see the original data because it's a lot
liability.
Of expense. Yeah, it's a liability for us to have access to this. And so if we can offload the risk of checking that everyone is qualified to be at this party, we would love to do so. And so the standardization of acceptance, part of that, I think that's really cool, is that, industries in the frontier technology space, such as crypto itself, those teams are really down to explore these types of proofs. And so whether it's incentives and smart contract logic that favors people who have proven themselves to be real human beings, or other in-app logic or application benefits, it's really cool to start to see these use cases developing.
So thank you for answering my next question without me even having to say anything. I was curious what kind of resistance, if any, or excitement you guys have faced as you talk to other people who may not either have been aware that, like, this was an option, which to me, that sounds like a thing that I would personally be really into. Like, oh, wait, this is a huge liability that I don't have to take because there's a solution. And I wonder if you'll humor me for just a second, because when I can see Evin backstage, so I will get to see his face when I say this. I've been vibe coding this thing. I'm calling it blockchain Basecamp right now. It's just like a little kind of fun. It was an experiment to, like, learn how to use these different vibe coding platforms. And I've had a few people ask about, using it and adding the feature to create an account. But one of the things that this platform does is intake some information about the user with regards to their tax bracket or their tax locale or what jurisdiction they fall into, and then giving them information about how best to optimize whatever they're doing with crypto to make it so that they're paying the most efficient route. Like, hey, you did this, that, and this and that. There's a more efficient way. You could have held this for longer or done this or whatever. And my biggest worry is like, look, I'm not an engineer. I think this tool is really cool, but I am unbelievably uncomfortable like intaking and storing people's information to let them build an account. So right now everything it's like purely session based, right? You can't make an account. There's no place that you can go and store anything. And it's purely because of that, because like I've seen the T app. I saw how that went, right? And for those who haven't heard, it was an app where women were able to share information about just dating encounters and social encounters that had gone really poorly, and kind of help warn people against, interacting with certain people who had done bad things to them. But in order to use it, you had to prove that you were, in fact, a woman, which meant uploading photo ID to say that that was the case. And all of it got leaked. So the home addresses and driver's license numbers and physical characteristics and all of these birthdays, everything was like completely leaked, every single user. So me, among probably everyone else building anything that involves potentially intaking user information, was like, okay, no, I don't want to deal with that. The last thing I want is to like find out that, I pulled a Doge and everything was on a public database on accident, and like some guy logged in with my 12345 password and just took everything. So this sounds like the dream come true, right? To be able to still build that thing, but not necessarily have to worry about custodying a bunch of sensitive information and, screwing up the security. Is that like a fair way for someone like me to conceptualize how I might be able to use this?
That is a wonderful way to think about it. So if you want to be able to facilitate experiences that are tailored to your users based on certain traits and capabilities without storing the underlying information about what makes them qualified, you can basically think of it like almost like an inversion of the personalized internet as we know it. Where web apps and websites can kind of shape around you without needing to harvest all of that data about you.
So like, I'm going to think through this out loud with you. I'm stealing a free consulting session from you right now. So in theory, you could have a profile for you as a human on the internet that includes, information about your tax status, your tax bracket, where you fall, your jurisdiction, all that sort of stuff. Have that account, be able to connect a wallet account, whatever, to something like my protocol. It know immediately, like, okay, we can tell because of XYZ that they are in the United Kingdom, in this income bracket, whatever. So we're just going to show you that part. Is that?
You could absolutely build an application, whether on-chain or a traditional, more sort of Web 2 style application that requires proof of funds or proof of, certain documentation, or even just a self-attestation, checking the box that says, that you self-identify in a certain manner or like with a certain tax bracket. And then you could be able to curate whether it's smart contract interactions or in-app interactions or content or video playing or audio playing in accordance with those traits. Certainly.
That's super cool.
So like, let's get tangible on that front.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say that, you want to start a golf course and, you want to, cater to individuals that have a certain amount of capital, that have proven interest in golf before, that live in a certain region, and you want to be able to offer them an advantageous rate to join your golf course as you're getting it started. There are a series of friendly and private ways in which people could prove that they're qualified with these different traits and capabilities without having to reveal that information. And then you can decide what you want to reveal when you start to actually transact and join the golf course. commerce or whatever. It's kind of a lame example, but being able to facilitate even payments that are unlocked by this type of verifiability is possible.
I don't think it's lame. I think, being able to put things in as many contexts as possible just kind of helps it make more sense, even if it's not the world's greatest example, whatever. But no, I think that makes perfect sense. The thing that as you guys work on this, how big of a deal is storage? Or how is the storage managed? Because we're talking about quite a lot of data, something that has been definitely making the rounds recently as more data centers come up, largely thanks to AI. The resources consumed in storage, which we could get into, at some point about what's misrepresented or what's over exaggerated represented or what's conveniently ignored when we talk about consumption of resources. Separate topic. Is this something that would help or exacerbate the problem of resource consumption when we're talking about storing impersonal or important personal information and data?
So the nice thing about how we approach storage with Billions Network is that rather than storing all of that information about our users in one place, instead we keep them in the driver's seat and leverage the storage on their own devices as the place where their data goes to sleep at night. And so using things like the hardware enclave on a phone, which is a sort of a secure hardware mechanism, sort of location where data can be stored and managed, protected, computed upon, leveraging that instead of a more traditional structure for data means that there isn't a single point of failure and collection for all of the data that relates to our users and their sensitive personal information. Rather, instead, only zero knowledge proofs, which are sort of lightweight and easily shared. Those can be sent from the user's device to a smart contract to an application, and that data doesn't even necessarily need to be stored, for a long period of time, but it's a negligible amount of storage requirement.
It's like storing a little hash, a couple of ones and zeros, basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
So is it fair to say then that honestly, this kind of thing, in whatever capacity it's applicable to company A, B, or C, who's thinking about whether or not they can use this, for example, theoretically, it could save you a lot of money if you're not necessarily needing to store all of this.
Well, Alex, unless your business model depends on storing and using people's data for profit.
But I'm saying, maybe it's okay if those people have a little bit of a harder time. How many examples of that are there?
Too many.
Yeah.
I had a question that I wanted to follow up with. That's why I inserted myself back. I think the internet is stable. The Earth has returned to its gravitational center where I live.
Well, don't look at it too hard or it's going to run away again.
Yeah.
But we seem to be doing okay.
Where our audience member U4TM wanted to know, do smart contracts fit into this? And I would be curious to know more about the architecture of your network. We don't have to get too technical, but have you built the infrastructure that other people are plugging into, or are other people going to bring kind of their contracts, their databases, their app processes, and then just kind of plug it into, what's that look like?
So I am looking to see if I have an image of our tech stack handy here. Give me a quick second and see.
If you do, you can hit the little screen share button at the bottom, or you can send it to me or whatever. I also found, I'll buy you some time. I also found on billions.network, the website we were sharing earlier, their website, that they've got a helpful technical document that goes into many of those details too, if you're really nerdy.
Let's see. So I've got, here we go.
Beautiful.
So to share a little bit more about the Billions Network tech stack, what most people are familiar with starts at the top. So our web wallet and native mobile application. Our web wallet is sort of the front end of the Billions SDK that can be inserted into existing applications and services to allow users to verify their identity in the flow of an existing application experience that they're already in the middle of, or that's attached to some other activity. And then, of course, our native application. And then for our developers and builders who, for example, are building their own applications and want to be able to check things like the age of their users without retaining their birthdays, they can use tools such as the query builder. So this allows you to build a ZK query, basically ask a question in a privacy preserving manner to a user. We can also think of this like a digital bouncer, making sure that only the appropriate users are going to be able to access a certain part of your application or a certain set of content. And so the cool thing about this query builder, the digital bouncer, is that it is built with a ZK query language that abstracts away all the cryptography. So it's basically like a super low code, nearly no code experience that takes the complexity out of building with cryptographic tools and makes it really friendly for application developers.
Beautiful. Where does this live? Is this somewhere on the website that somebody can reference later, or
so this is a little bit of alpha. This is an internal document that we use to share a little bit more about our work. But we've shared it in various different places. So I'm happy to share that with the listener community here too.
That's okay. It'll live forever on the recording. If you're in podcast land, you've got to find a visual. Thank you for sharing it, Evin. And I would actually like to know more. You, like Alex said, have been on quite a journey to bring this to the people, to save the internet. I love that that's the way you're phrasing it now, but it's been a long time coming to this iteration. And I'm really just curious if you take us behind the scenes, like, I just want to know what's going on with you. Like, what were the conversations like to go from disco to billions? And I want to give you a chance because I've seen some FUD on the internet. I think you're wonderful, and I'm sure other people do too, because I don't know how anybody could have a conversation with you and not like you. But I think there are a lot of really valid concerns in the crypto space broadly that companies are taking buzzwords, putting them on a pitch deck, and they are extracting many millions of dollars. They're inflating metrics. They're doing all kinds of things. And I don't remember where it was. I'm sure it's not terribly credible, but I see that kind of thing. And I would love to give you a chance to respond to it, to somebody who says, oh, Evin McMullen, she talks a good game, but she's gone from company to company to company and they don't have a product yet. And What do you say to those people? Like, why billions? Why now? And then to the fudders, to the naysayers, I wanted to give you a chance to defend yourself. Not that you need to take it, but if you'd like it.
Well, I appreciate both. First, in terms of why billions, why now? What you may remember, some listeners may remember about a project called Disco, which I started a few years ago, is that it is actually an application layer solution that would allow users to take their existing crypto keys and send and receive credentials. But what we did not have at that time was anything ZK. None of that data was leveraging client side or zero knowledge proving of any kind. We were using centralized storage in AWS, not decentralized on your device. And we only had a very narrow set of the tech stack sort of within our wheelhouse as far as solutions go. And so when we merged with the then Bravado ID team, now Billions Network team, we did so as a way to more efficiently scale our technical solution and to grow our teams together. So what I would say is not only did we ship products as Disco, but we also have shipped quite a lot of products as the unified team that we are today. And you don't have to take our word for it. Anybody can build an application or use the SDK to be able to facilitate proofs of different verification types of their users. And if they are interested in reusing the proofs that we already have, there are more than 1 million of them. They are already actively working for things like airdrop qualification in reuse. And so I have seen quite a lot of FUD from folks who love to complain on the internet. And I welcome it, because if it means that they're going to, start exploring a little bit more closely, then they could do things like visit our GitHub libraries and look at the thousands of forks and the organizations that are using and building on those libraries. I would invite them to look at, actually in a few weeks, we're going to have a block explorer up that will allow you to see even more quantitative and granular data about the on-chain interactions that we facilitate. And to one of the earlier questions about smart contracts, so not only can the verifiable data we facilitate inform smart contract logic, we also have an on-chain verifier. So you can verify data, verify credentials and the associated proofs about users in a trustless manner without a central intermediary, just a smart contract on the other side. And so we've got those smart contracts already deployed on a variety of different chains across the EVM and are going to start building out into the sort of Rust-based ecosystems after that.
Okay, very cool. I have a question for you that's like, I feel like last time we talked, or maybe 2 times ago, you were in Argentina. Are you going to DevConnect in Buenos Aires?
I am really focused on ensuring that we get our product executed well and shipped. And so I am not really thinking too much about travel toward the end of the year, although in the coming weeks, I will be heading to Korea for Korea Blockchain Week.
You are one of the more prolific travelers I know, or have been one of the more prolific travelers I know. And it seems like you're always making time to speak to people like us, to spread the good word about what you're doing and advocate for everyday users. So I just want to say, way to go. I'm sad you won't be in Buenos Aires because I'm going to be there, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with some of the community from that part of the world. What then is next for you, and what can we do to support it? Maybe you and Alex talked about this when I was lost in internet land, but obviously folks can download the app right now and try it for themselves. But is there anything else meaningful that we can do, or that you can give us a teaser about to expect coming next from you and from the team at Billions?
Certainly. So we have some exciting product updates that will be coming out in the next few months. So if you are interested in following along with the team, you can always find us on X at billions_NTWK, or you can check out billions.network, where we are always online. As you mentioned, we've got our native applications as well if you want to start exploring there. If you are an app developer, if you are an investor, if you consider yourself to be one with the tokens, definitely keep an eye out, watch this space. We'll have some exciting announcements that we can't wait to share with your community in the coming months.
I have to say that until 2 minutes ago, because I've been so wrapped up in everything else, I forgot about Korea Blockchain Week. And every year that it happens, I'm sad that I'm not there, because it's like one of the things that is on it's like at the top of my list of events I've never been to, but that like just seems like one of the better ones all year long. And Evan, I can't believe that we're here again, because it feels like yesterday that we were like, unfortunately missing Korea Blockchain Week last year.
Yeah.
And Token in Singapore, and then going to Emergence in Prague just right after that, because Mac was at Korea Blockchain Week last year. And now I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe that we're like coming back up on that again, but in 25. And now I'm sad.
Well, travel safe and enjoy it for us. The last thing I wanted to ask you about, and if there's something else that you wanted to talk about or share, don't hesitate to cut me right off. But, we've been talking a lot on the show lately about a couple of different things. Decentralization, is it just a buzzword? And I think you've spoken a lot about how we can empower users and, put them back in the driver's seat, as you said. But I also wanted to ask you about just the state of like brand awareness and marketing. On one hand, you've got like all these buzzy projects still raising money from venture capitalists and mostly advertising to the same power users on crypto Twitter and paying for a Yap campaign and reaching absolutely nobody beyond the echo chamber. And then on the other end, you've got pudgy penguins, and that's like it, in terms of brands that are reaching
relatable,
millions of everyday people. Relatable, recognizable, the way Red Bull is. And even if you don't like or drink their beverages, you will watch their content and exactly who they are and what they stand for. I know we've talked about this before, but I'd love your perspective on, as somebody who's building something that will help us trust more, how do crypto companies who can fix the trust problem fix the storytelling problem, the trust problem? Do you have any takes for other founders, for people who are investing in the crypto space? Like, how do you think tell a better story? Because I think you tell a good one, and I think that's our biggest problem.
I really appreciate that observation, and I agree. I think that the humility to iterate on the way that we present our ideas and our, frontier tech enabled experiences means that we're going to have to evolve the narrative and the way that we represent these tools and the way that we introduce them to people around the world. At Billions Network, obviously, we've had a lot of opportunities to see the way that different technologies can be presented and marketing can be executed. And I think one thing that's really special about our community is that we do not have paid yappers. We have not financially incentivized anyone to talk about our work, in fact. And I have seen, a variety of really colorful and funny suggestions about the many millions of dollars that we're spending on marketing. Our marketing budget is less than $160,000 so far in our existence as a company, and the majority of that was spent to create a Kaido board where we could measure and have visibility into the organic content and community engagement that we were seeing. And so although that that is a substantial budget, we hadn't spent any of it until after we had reached 1 million users. That was all organic growth.
I will say, though, to be fair, that it's not bad for awareness when Mark Boyron is wearing the glasses in the PFP.
Pretty cool.
We're super grateful for the kindness and support of leaders throughout the industry who have listened differently to the solution that we're bringing to the table, and also started to see the way in which these tools are connecting with the community on a human level. Some people who've been historically very bearish on whether it's on identity or on teams like ours, that they continue to remain confused as to why our team keeps shipping and it's being well received by audiences worldwide. We continue to maintain and scale traction, and so I welcome the skepticism, and I would definitely invite anyone who is hiding behind a PFP to come introduce themselves in my DMs, and I would love to walk them through more of what we're building if they need to learn more.
I wish they would introduce themselves in your DMs and then let me host a public conversation, because I just can't. Do you have public beef with anybody? I can't imagine you losing a battle in the court of public opinion.
And if not, who do we start?
I wish I had public beef, but that would make me feel like a rapper. But no, I think rather than beef, we're not fighting with each other, guys. We're all fighting with obscurity. And so while I find Twitter bullying to be a humorous and bizarre hobby for some folks, I really wish they would take that energy and come build something better with me. If they have good feedback, I want to hear it. And if they don't like my hair, then that's a separate issue.
That is uncalled for. As a show that only hosts people who have magnificent hair, they can talk to us. If that's what they're saying, they're way out of line. I'm docking them a point. Okay.
I do have one more question, and I can make this my final thought. You brought it up, Evin. And so yes, you, Evin, my Evin.
You pointed the eye. I saw you on this camera, but I was like, where the hell are you pointing?
Sorry, on my
in your closet? What?
Okay. I guess on TikTok he's over here for me.
That's out of the bag.
Everything else is over there for me. Anyway, doesn't matter. Point is, you brought up the trust problem, which I think is important, especially when we talk about ZK stuff. And I was curious, Evin, we didn't talk about this part earlier. Have you guys felt any resistance or hesitation from people about trusting what ZK says that something is verified to be? Because I feel like I could imagine a world in which legitimate skepticism would exist for me trying to tell somebody that needed to see proof of something in order to do something. I guess I'm trying to think of an example wherein it would be really legitimately concerning. Okay, kids, if anyone has children and you are now at a point where you have to go pick them up from school, especially unexpectedly, the layers of who is authorized to pick your kid up from school, right? And this is maybe a bad example because I would not want to have someone be able to swipe a card and take your kid from school. But
swipe a card, grab a kid.
I'm saying this in the context of something that is legitimately very important.
It's a verified
gotta be.
Alex.
No, absolutely not. Put yourself backstage again. How do I? But like, you know, where it is super important. Like, I do not want to leave this up to chance. Like this is extremely, extremely important. Picking up my medication would be something like, I don't want someone to be able to come through and just like take my meds from a pharmacy that before I can get them because I need them. How would you address that skepticism in someone who's like, well, I don't know, I need to see it by myself. Like, I don't care what this code thing says. I don't care. It doesn't. You're not fooling me. I got to see it with my own eyes.
So I think this gets back to something that you were talking about earlier, which is that verifiers are the parties who are in charge of deciding who is qualified. It's up to them to decide what inputs are acceptable. There was a time that, for example, Apple Pay was not acceptable at, points of sale and cashiers around the world because there were, specific preferences around certain types of credit cards and cash. At some points in history, things like American Express travelers checks were also, acceptable or more prevalent in different places. But unlike payment rails alone, data rails also open up a broad variety of different participants who can decide what's going to be sufficiently acceptable to them. And so I think the edge or the fringe of acceptability is likely to be determined either by financial value. What more efficient processes can you facilitate, using verification in this manner? And if there are incentives, then so go the activities. And then also regulation. If there are legal requirements that allow businesses to operate in a manner that is, permissible and secure, and is going to be a better solution than what they were doing before, and the cost of switching over is not going to be super overwhelming, then I think that also makes for a really logical point of migration. But if and only if the experience on the other side is better, that the cost of switching over is tolerable, and there's a reason or some meaningful alternative to what's happening right now, only then are we going to start to see a larger shift.
I think you bring up the most important point too, that a lot of it comes down to choice, informed choice, like on behalf of whoever is doing the thing. We talk about this. If you've watched the show, you've heard me and Evan say this before, with just decentralization in general as a topic. Like, you don't have to be super gung-ho on, decentralization, escaping middle people and, opting out of that kind of system. But you should at least be aware of like how it works. This feels like kind of the same thing where like I want options and I want to be able to say, okay, I'm making an informed choice to like accept this or not accept this or offer more proof to somebody about something versus not, but being able to like, keep a better hold on that. I don't know, that's the way I try to think about it.
Yeah. And, something I do too that has helped me is, for folks on our show will know that recently I had the experience of being deepfake copied, had my voice copied, and it sounded so good. People want to see something for themselves. They want to verify it for themselves. But that's a great example of where if you were relying on your eyes and your ears or your physical senses to like verify, is this Evan? You would have been fooled, or you would at least have a harder time telling what's real and what's fake. Whereas if I had attached to my TikTok account a token or a credential of some kind that was on chain or verified with math and cryptography so that only one could be, the authentic thing. Everything else would fail the test and only my credential would pass it. That would be a much more effortless way to determine, with no room for error, that you're either interacting with something that sounds a lot like Evan or Evan. I had that happen to me in the wake of that. Somebody asked me a question on a DM and I sent them something back being like, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate this, but join the community. I really don't. DMs are terrible. And they sent me back like, F you. And I think they thought I was a scammer because I was leaving them another website. And I sent them a video back being like, hey man, you probably thought I was trying to scam you. And I love the skepticism. I think that's great, but like,
keep that energy.
It's really me.
To the community.
I can't prove it to you. Come on. I'll see you later. Keep your seed phrase, join the party.
I think about that sometimes though, because how many times we floated the idea of like, what can you do on a platform like TikTok or Twitter, wherein annoyingly, now that I'm trying to be more active on Twitter as well, I am getting DMs more and more frequently about like, hey, did you know that so-and-so is pretending to be you? Like, yes, unfortunately I did.
I did.
But I mean, that's an inherent weakness of that whole thing though, is that like, if we had cryptographic proof that I am me, and we passed that proof on to the platform in question, their front end could still be jacked up.
Sure. There's, trust one place or another.
Like if you think about TikTok, right? Like if I did the thing and TikTok made my profile glow blue so that like when you looked at that one, like, okay, this one has passed whatever proof. It's like, okay, next job on the hackers list is like, how do I make my profile glow blue for no other reason than to make it glow blue? And guaranteed someone will figure it out. And then here we go, back at square one. I mean, it's got to get worked on regardless. Like, don't get me wrong. Either way, any improvement on what is currently the thing would be worth doing, because Jesus, it's awful. Especially like as we're talking about the phone call scam that you just had someone reach out to you about. I can't believe we don't see more of it, but I worry about the day that we do.
Which is why, Evan, we need you to get out of here, go save the internet. Give us a final maybe thought, a word of wisdom, a good joke. If you've got a prediction, we'll take that too, and tell us where we can reach you, and then we'll let you go off into the night until next time.
Well, guys, thank you so much as ever for a scintillating and enlightening discussion. I want to encourage all those who are frustrated by the problem that Alex was just outlining to stay tuned and keep an eye at Billions Network. We've got some cool product updates that can help you prove who you are on any platform in a manner that's going to be friendly to everyone. So that's a little alpha leak, a little forthcoming product insight. But if you want to follow along with my work, you can always reach me at Proven Authority on X.
Beautiful. Thank you. Ladies, gentlemen, monsters and machines, our friend Evin McMullen. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Friends, thank you so much. Be excellent to each other. Hydrate, and I will see you all on chain.
Bye for now, my friend. But you, my friend, you don't have to go anywhere, because we've got a few more minutes of Rise Up After Dark. We have got to unpack that conversation. Plus, we want to make space for your questions. If you've got a question about crypto, about AI, you've got a suggestion, you have something you weren't sure where to find the answer to, we can't promise you that it lives here, but we will do our absolute best to entertain you while we look for it together in the meantime. So I'm Evan. He's Alex. She was Evin McMullen. Is there anybody better than Evin McMullen to talk about decentralized identity, to talk about any of it? She's absolutely one of my favorite people to listen to and talk with.
And I wanted to say too that I know that this is a dense one, like this topic, and I try to be super mindful about spending a lot of time on like overly complex, like tech heavy things, too much. But I truly believe like this one is so important. Like if you're going to drill down and understand something in this space, like I think you got a few stepping stones probably to walk over before you get to this one. There's so much jargon, dude. It's like 88% jargon whenever you read anything about any of this stuff. And I mean, just ask Casey, right? Casey was at
Casey the Witch. I mean, WHICH, the Witch. Casey the Witch?
Casey Craig.
Yeah.
Was at the one in the conference, the developer summit that she was at in Thailand, was like a long.
Oh yeah.
And she was at the ZK thing, and basically said like, yeah, I went in to like learn about ZK, and it was just like a bunch of math PhDs drawing proofs and formulas on a chalkboard, and I was like, oh god. I recognize that, and I hear it. It's like frustrating, but like I'm telling you,
take it on
this
faith.
one. There's no rush. Like, don't feel like pressured or panicked or whatever. Like, there's time. This is one of the things that I feel the most strongly about. Like when we say the tech is important, I cannot even begin to fathom a future wherein this stuff is not important and more important, because this shit is getting out of control. I mean, literally, yes, it's the perfect time to cryptographically encrypt your data and prove that it's real.
She's right. We don't have a choice. We've got to work on this.
Yeah, I'm going to steal that. I like that answer. I'm absolutely going to steal that. But no, I don't know. it like I just wanted to say, because I know that for some people this is like, oh my God, this is like so dry and lofty, and I'm like, yes, it is, but also it's so important. Like, if you take anything from me, take that, like, this is important. I firmly believe this is super, super, super important.
I love what Carol said about Casey. I remember when she went there because she was going to Mudang the next day. Do you remember that?
Yes.
She actually got to visit Mudang. Yeah. Wow. We got to get Casey back on the show too. My bit of encouragement is to listen, Alex has said it before, and you'll hear me repeat him to say, you don't need to be a mechanic to drive your car to the grocery store. In fact, you probably know 2 or 3 things that would help you pick out a good car from a lemon when you're on the lot. And if you don't, you probably got 2 or 3 friends you can call, a mechanic you trust, to help you change your oil, change the brakes, or give you a second opinion when you get a quote. In that same way, you're going to use this stuff, whether you're a baker, whether you're a teacher, whether you're an author, or whether you're just, bumming around somewhere on the internet, and increasingly in your offline life as well. The same way you use credit cards without knowing anything about the infrastructure that lives inside them, but knowing a little more about the problems they solve and like the solutions that exist. That's just going to help you, because the biggest problem, who were we talking to, Alex? Was it just me? Was it the 2 of us together? We were talking about AI being a values problem. Who was saying this the other day? I'm totally blanking. I feel like it was an After Dark. We've done so many shows. I feel like somebody was talking about how AI, the acceleration of AI, and whether, I think it was from a question Cosmic asked. He was in the audience. He says, is innovation or regulation going to be like worse for us? Oh, it was Max Margin last week. And we were talking about this problem of like AI acceleration. And she said, I think it's more of a problem of human values. And I agree with that. I think we're going to come to a future very soon where people, some of them, are really distrustful of AI, of cryptocurrency. You see it already because they don't understand it. And because the story we've told about it sucks. It doesn't make it clear what this stuff is, how it's not a scam, if it's not, and what it might be used for in the future. So being one of those people who can help make it more human, especially for the everyday folks like, the moms and teachers and grandmas and bakers and whatever, like that's a really important role to play, because we're going to have to build bridges to help those people not be taken advantage of by this technology, to use it well. I don't know. I'm with you. It's one of my very favorite conversations, but take a pill.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta like come up for air after a minute. Like, okay, that's enough. That's enough.
And just think of Evan. She's been doing this every day for years.
Yeah. I mean, but you can tell. I mean, like, listen to her talk about it. Like, you can tell, like, okay, you eat, sleep, and breathe this shit.
And I'm so glad she does, because she's got the riz.
I'm glad one of us does.
And she can, she can sustain the effort. So to everybody at Billions, thank you guys for what you're doing. We want to talk to you again, but right now, I know we got some questions, Alex. What are you seeing in the comments?
My last thought on the whole thing was, I was just going to say, as Joe is talking about coming up on her listening anniversary to following the show, which is awesome.
Wonderful.
Having Evan here was exciting, because Evan is we got to make a list, because there's only like a few people on Earth. Evan was one of the people who was a guest on Rising Up, the podcast that we did years ago, that went off the air and then came back, evolved like a beautiful butterfly into this show.
I was going to see if I could pull that playlist up. I will put it in the show notes for anybody listening in podcast land if you want to hear the Rising Up recorded episodes that we have, because the theme, you think the theme song for this is great. The theme song for Rising Up,
it was so good.
Might be even better. I absolutely love Keith's work. You got it? You got it on tap?
Hang on, hold on.
Oh my God. Thrill me.
Dude, okay, are you ready? I have the intro.
Yes, I'm so ready. And I would do this. Welcome to Rising Up. Like this whole...
Dude, it's so good. And then, of course, there was the outro.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Wait. The drop is coming.
I think. Oh my God, dude, this is really transporting me.
I cannot wait to listen to this on 1.5 speed later when I'm like walking the dogs for you. Would be so hype. I'll be like walking in the park at midnight and I'm like, yeah. People be like, the hell is that guy doing? I remember when you had a mustache, you're in the Coast Guard.
Hey, it's still there. There's just like
there's more,
extra.
We need that back, Fluke. Says we might have to work on it. I bet if we gave that to Keith, I bet he could find a way to like remix it. Or maybe we could give it to Blau.
Well, I was gonna say I want so badly to convince Blau to hook us up with something. Because this, if you hear, I'll turn it up for a second, just in case. Surprise! If you haven't noticed, we play one of the StreamYard background tracks, the defaults called Night Driving, which I'm obsessed with.
Did you see Mike's comment? Where's my Jinko jeans? Like he's ready to hit the club.
We have Night Driving in the background, and I would love a custom one. And if it was made by Blau, that would be literally the coolest thing. But it's just
Bearded noticed it for the first time the other day. He was like,
really?
There's music playing on the TikTok stream. I said, yeah.
Yeah, dude. So I love that. I love that track. Anyway.
Okay, if you've got a crypto question, if you have a suggestion for a future guest, if you've got a prediction about where the market is going or what piece of technology is going to make it work, the 8-Ball says Lambo soon. Then leave us a comment wherever you are, whenever you listen. Tomorrow on the show, we are going to have Nathan from Foundation and Station 70 to talk about the different solutions that they're working on to make it easier for you, like Evan and her team at Billions, to truly own the information that represents things like your money, to pass it on in the event that you die, and to really be, like Evan said, I'm stealing this, in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So don't miss that. And remember, we're live every Monday through Thursday. The Rise Up Morning Show, baby, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Plus, there's Market Watch, there's After Dark, and the show lives 24/7 at our free community. Rums HQ, RUMSHQ.com has the link. The only thing missing, my friends, is you. Mr. Robot Stecklerish asks, Poly, I assume meaning Polygon, or Ondo? Rapid fire. Which one you like better? Paul or Ondo? Polygon, and I'm going to say Polygon too. The why, Alex?
Yeah, because Ondo is a niche use for something that Polygon can also do. So you get more bang for your buck with that one.
More bang for your buck. And I will say, though, I think if you're trading, Ondo might be the play, except for the fact that it lives mostly on the Ethereum network. So you're looking at $20 either way for gas today. These days, it's about $20 for gas. So if you're swinging a big bag,
really?
Yeah, I swear to God, dude. This morning I checked it, and it's
maybe it just doesn't like you.
In the time, I didn't need to do a transaction. I was just checking because somebody on Twitter mentioned it was expensive, and I was like, check it now, see what it is now. And let me remind the folks, I forgot to announce what is maybe the most important event tomorrow, second most in some households, because we also learned that football is coming back tomorrow. American football is coming back tomorrow. But yes, the other primetime viewing that you got to catch is, somebody save me from myself because I had to do this last time. I'm pretty sure it's 8 p.m. Eastern. Fact check yourself, brother. Caveman Fantasy is hosting the Cosmic Crypto William Watson debate. It's going to be electrifying entertainment.
Did he say he bumped the time though?
Bumped it where?
Isn't that what Will texted? Like moved it, like scooted it an hour to accommodate
scooted it, bumped it. We'll find out shortly. According to my text messages, I don't have that text message in this interface. Sorry to say it. Update from a private message I have with the white whale is James Wynn just followed him and posted to his timeline saying, my good friend. And his response was, bro, we never talked until you DM'd me 5 minutes ago. So if you wanted to know what the white whale is thinking, that's it. The white whale, James Wynn, the same person? No.
There you go.
Football don't change my wallet, Crypto Boat said. So if you're wondering where your allegiance lies, I don't know, man. I am not much of a football guy, I have to say. I do enjoy watching a good football match, English or American, but it's not required viewing for me. And some people are going to do both. They're going to have the big screen on in the living room, and they're going to have the small screen on the debate. I already know it. So let us know. Solo Masks, did Polygon release a protocol that tokenized stocks? Alex, do you know? It doesn't sound familiar to me. Let's find out.
Who? There was
Polygon. Did
Yeah, okay.
Polygon?
Hang on, let me pull it because I was just reading about this earlier. There was a couple things that talked about stock tokenization today that
I would
saw.
expect to see tokenized stocks become a bigger thing for more and more people. The same way that like RWAs became a thing for people, stablecoins became a thing for people.
It's a narrative right now. It's
a
for sure
narrative.
a narrative right now.
Everyone's going to get it, and everyone's going to have a little piece of that pie. According to a quick search from GPT, backed finance, often branded backed, according to Newswire, in a report from this is from last year, so certainly not recent news.
Yeah, no, I definitely saw something posted today.
Unchain tokenized stock trading with new listings on Polygon, almost a year ago today. You got a new post? Tell us what you're seeing, Solom, and let us know.
I know I ran across something today. I was like, okay, there's another one.
CryptoBoat says, while we look for it, that we should take votes and require Will to shave his mustache if he loses the cosmic crypto debate. Just saying.
How does one determine loss in a debate with no specific topic or?
I don't know.
Just vibes?
Vibes, definitely no debata. Just vibes.
No, absolutely no. No, that one will not stand.
Oh man,
it was awful.
Okay, all right, okay. Let's see. Polygon stock. According to X, the latest is absolutely nothing. Looks like Vo said they delisted Polygon is aligned with holders. The ticker is Paul. I do know that the Paul token migration from Matic had a significant step forward where, depending on which exchange or wallet you hold your tokens on, if it was a laggard in the migration from Matic to Paul, it may require some manual intervention from you, and that step should be complete. Barefoot Bandit has a great suggestion, as well as a great name. Hey, Barefoot Bandit, that we should decide the winner of the debate using dings. Obviously.
Correct.
I mean,
I am a big fan of this.
we should have lent out the soundboard for this purpose. I don't know why we didn't do it. Still nothing on tokenized stocks over here.
Yeah, dude, I've scrolled so far past that thing. I was trying to see if Perplexity could dig it up for me, so it's thinking right now. Report back. Come on, Perplexity Labs. Show me what you can do.
Robots Declarers says AVAX and Toyotathon have a thing now. Interesting.
Okay, that's bullish.
That is bullish. More cars on chain. AVAX is doing some stuff.
Specifically Toyotas.
Cam McDonald has an updated report in fees for Ondo. They're trading Ondo on Coinbase, and they say to sell 300 Ondo tokens on Coinbase is $5.30. That's probably because Coinbase is charging you about 1%. Coinbase doesn't make you pay on-chain fees, but sometimes the fees you pay on Coinbase can be higher than the fees you pay on-chain, depending on how much you're trading. And if you want to mitigate those fees, you got to get out your calculator and do a little math. You can upgrade to Coinbase One. For $5.99 a month, you get like some perks, including fee reduction. And for $29.99 a month, you can get more perks and a deeper reduction. You got to see the brochure for all the details. It's easy to find by searching Coinbase One, and it's easy to sign up for it. The calculation is, are you going to trade more enough to justify what you're paying for the service, or get enough value some other way from it, through the premium customer service, peace of mind, whatever? Then you would be paying in fees if you weren't using it. And then the other question is, like, in either of those scenarios, are you paying less fees than you would be paying if you were doing the trade on chain somewhere like Uniswap? That's something I wanted to talk to you about, Alex. Recently, I learned, how Uniswap is like, did you find anything from Perplexity? Don't let me change the subject if you got
No,
to.
it's the labs thing. So it's like, oh, actually, there it goes. Okay, it's talking about the Ondo thing. Kraken expands X stocks to Ethereum. I guess Galaxy Digital did something as well. Oh my God, scroll. A bunch of stats and stuff about RWA things. although massive increase there in market share. I don't know. I do see the Ondo Global Markets goes live, which was today. But I do not
What about
see...
Steckler says they saw AVAX, Ondo, and Poly in the same sentence, but can't remember specifics. So Don't fret, don't sweat. We'll find it. And when we do, we'll talk about it on one of the shows that we broadcast live to you. You want to hear what I was listening to about Uniswap today?
I do, yes. You alluded to me that something happened that has perhaps changed one of your opinions about some of these things.
I think I might have changed my mind a little bit today. Recently, we have had a lot of interest in Aero, other tokens on Base, because I think primarily Will got in early and was like, hey, it's a DEX on a leading blockchain, new chain, doing the most volume on its chain. Aerodrome Finance, for folks who don't know, is a decentralized exchange where you can do what you do on Coinbase, but without having to pay those Coinbase fees. You just pay an on-chain fee and pay a fee to the people who provide the liquidity. It's usually the cheapest way to trade on chain is to use a decentralized exchange. And Aerodrome is the leading decentralized exchange by activity, volume, revenue on Base. Coinbase's layer 2 network. Strong activity, popular network. And they've been eating Uniswap's lunch. But we've been concerned lately because the token emissions, the way they're releasing their tokens, makes them kind of inflationary.
Well, and we've talked about that quite a bit. Will has brought that up quite a bit, especially over the last year or so, just talking about Aero, because it's kind of it's a risk to reward weighing between the fact that they are revenue generating, which is good, and not everyone could say that, but inflationary tokenomics.
Well, and I had been skeptical about it too, because I was like, it seems like the only reason people are participating in getting more Aero tokens is to sell them to offset the inflation.
But as we've noticed, the price range has been pretty significant, making it like a swing trade target. But we've kind of all said consistently, holding this in a bear market sketches me out. It'll probably drop like a rock.
But here's what I learned today that maybe is changing my mind about this, and maybe even making me reconsider locking up some Aero in order to earn V Aero. So the way their tokenomics design is that they are sharing. A couple years ago, DeFi protocols just made money on swaps, and then they would turn this fee switch on, where they could earn all kinds of fees on the activities on their platform. They could take a fee from people who are providing liquidity, from people who are swapping, whatever, and these fees that they generate, they pay them. But the other way that they pay themselves is by token allocations and selling tokens. Uniswap famously is able to employ so many people and able to take a break and take a cut on the activity on Base to try and compete with Aerodrome, because they have a lot of this token that they can sell. It's theirs. And the governance holders, they don't, I'm totally bastardizing this, don't let the details get in the way of the truth though. They more or less offer a sort of semblance of democracy. It's not really strong governance, on-chain, truly democratic. And the big difference between Uniswap and Aerodrome is Aerodrome and also Moonwell, they are using the fees that their platform generates to pay token holders. And they are doing it by distributing the revenue, allocating that value to V Aero, which is what you lock up and will be released sometime in the future. So they're creating this alignment of incentives. Uniswap's incentives are not aligned with Uniswap holders, because Uniswap is going to sell their token anytime they need to fund something, anytime they need to get more runway to pay their big team, anytime they need to, take a loss leader and pay themselves. They're going to sell their token. Aerodrome and Moonwell, I learned, though they're smaller, they have an aligned incentive with the people who hold their token and the people who are locking their token, because they are giving them back a cut of the revenue of the protocol, and a big cut, a significant cut. And I also learned Hyperliquid, they did a really successful airdrop, and since the airdrop have done a huge buyback, and that's a big part of their playbook as well. And the founder of Moonwell, the founder of Aerodrome, what they were saying on the show is they really think that in the next couple of years that the top 100 tokens, 50% of them will probably become tokens like this that give revenue back, or in some other more efficient way align incentives with the holders of the tokens, instead of putting the foundation or the team at odds with them, the venture capitalists at odds with them, because those companies, they're essentially less efficient. Like nobody, when they have the option, is going to hold a token for a decentralized protocol that doesn't pay them. Like we're all going to choose to use it. All things equal, they're all fast, they're all cheap. We're going to hold the tokens for the ones that pay us too. And I was like, duh, obviously that makes complete sense. It's way more efficient. And so now you got to go listen to it because I've just given you the bumper sticker version and totally butched it. It's at unchainedcrypto.com or search crypto on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. It's their most recent episode. And I thought it was fantastic. Oh, no, it's not their most recent. It's their second most recent. Why these DeFi builders are bullish on Base. Their most recent episode I was telling you was with the founder of Bubble Maps. And it also was great. Yep. He was cheeky and lovely. And I want him on our show.
First of all, I feel like in a room full of people who work in this space, who could talk the funniest and the most amount of shit about the industry, it would be Mr. Bubble Maps.
Oh,
like for sure.
And he's got a lovely dialect too. I couldn't quite place it, but I really enjoyed listening to him speak.
Okay,
he
we'll have to reach out.
Shit.
I think they follow me on Twitter too.
Oh man, he really talked some shit, and just he was also very humble about it. Yeah. He's the kind of guy. He's like the DeFi Llama founder. Like he's the kind of guy who could brag and flex a little, but is like not gonna be a jerk about it. So we got to get him on the show. Is there anything you've changed your mind about lately in the crypto space, Alex?
That's a good question. Change my mind about
creator coins. Launching a Zora account after this.
Still hate him. Okay. Not change my mind. And I got distracted. That was an incredible looking gift from Solom over on.
Shout out to Solom, who really is the chief gift officer. I saw that he had like leveled up and unlocked some new stuff the other day. He sent us a lion this morning. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Chief gift officer.
Chief.
I love that.
Emphasis on the chief. Oh, yes, little topiary.
Oh man, it's beautiful. Okay, yeah, no, it's not necessarily a mind change, but maybe like a different way of thinking about something. So I've had some issues, and those all still stand with some of the things that Base has done recently. Namely the whole Zora creator coin thing. I do not vibe with it at all. But I was trying to be more objective and thinking about it yesterday and today, especially in the wake of Pudgy Party and just this conversation that I've been trying to have more and more with more people to make them think about the fact that nothing in crypto except for Pudgy Penguins has like a brand identity. And then I was like, I don't think that's totally fair. I think that Base has one. And I think that it just doesn't necessarily appeal to me specifically, but that doesn't mean that it's not legitimate and valuable and good and does resonate a ton with other people. Because I think something, obviously, this is, one of those like perspective is everything. Just because who gives a shit? Like I don't like something doesn't mean it's not legit or super valuable.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think that's the case. And I think that they genuinely do. I think they deserve more credit for actually taking the time to try to cultivate a brand identity, because there are more people doing things over there than many networks that have significant amounts of seniority over them. Now, I would say probably that it's fair to say it might be a little bit unfair because they have the power of Coinbase behind them, and that is an absolute behemoth of a daddy to have. But I do think that it's worth. I just wanted to say I after thinking about it more, I think that it would be unfair to say that they don't have like distinct brand identity. Maybe not in the same way that Pudgy Penguins does, because it's more like specific and singular and like not smaller in the sense of like anything bad, but just smaller in the fact that it's like more narrow. Like, okay, it's penguins. They're adorable. Like you play the game and you're waddling and you're just like loving the fact that you're a little waddling thing and you can get a little flipper flapping on the ground. But Base has a very distinct culture and a very distinct vibe and an aesthetic. And like, especially with the Base app kind of, tying things together a little bit nicer and working on the bundling of all the stuff and, putting things in a more deliberate and distinct home I think that's worth shouting out as good and well done.
I agree with you. And I really want you to listen to this episode. I'm gonna send it to you later because they talk about Coinbase too, and they, some of the things they said about it, some of the numbers they dropped. I think it was the Moonwell guy who used to work at Coinbase and helped design, I mean, you know, a lot of their projects. And something he said here, I found the transcript, is he was saying, so what is Coinbase going to do? They're not going to help the 10,000 DeFi natives like us. Funnily enough, the other interviewer guy, his name is Alex, like me and Alex, figure out how to earn 1% more on our yield. Nobody cares about that. But what do people care about? Your family members, your friends. They're like, hey, I heard Bitcoin's going to be pretty good in the next 5 years because there might be a lot of inflation and money printing. And maybe I want to buy some real world assets. I heard there's yield bearing stablecoins. How do I buy those? There are 100 million monthly active users that are on the Coinbase retail app right now, and they have full asset access now because of the changes they've made to every single asset on Base today. And they brought this up about Jesse Pollock specifically. They were like, you know, say what you will about him, but on one hand, you've got Brian Armstrong like shaking hands with Congress people, and then you've got Jesse, who's kind of like, you know, Coinbase is the only major exchange that really, you know, is like hasn't been hacked yet. You know, one of the only ones. And that's great. But then you've got Jesse being like, you know, let's move fast and break things. And I do think that's a really rare combination. And that 100 million users is like, you know, that's such a small fraction of the world. And Coinbase is so far ahead of all the institutions. You know, they're ahead of JP Morgan. They're ahead of anybody else who's offering those kind of services to people. So they were speculating that even if, you know, 5 years from now, Coinbase has just like 1% of all the trading volume of every real world asset that's going to come on chain. I mean, that's going to be trillions, maybe quadrillions of dollars. It's going to be tremendous. So I think they're doing it. They're playing for 2035 and beyond.
Well, who's to say whether or not it'll even take that long? I mean, I'm on record several times saying if you want to look at like anything building any kind of company that is in any way involved with or even just tangential to this industry, Coinbase is the one that's like got future $1 trillion company, you know, written all over it. Just, I mean, plus Brian Armstrong is bald. That's like that's one of the top requirements.
What more do you need?
Right.
Congratulations, Brian Armstrong. There's a point.
Good job, Brian.
So,
did you see, oh my God, Evan, I forgot. I meant to send this to you, but I was like, I saw it in passing and then it refreshed and then I lost it. It was a picture on Twitter and it was just the like very tops of a bunch of smooth, shiny things. And it was like, let's play Web3 founder or egg. And you know what's funny is this is how I can tell I've been here for too long. I not only knew exactly which ones were eggs and which ones were founders, I could tell just by the top which founder we were talking about.
Oh my God, that's wild.
Yeah, I'll try to find it and put it in circle because it was absolutely hysterical. It was like instant. It's like, oh, that's Brian right there. I can tell just from here up. So, you know, he's doing something right.
Too much time, Alex. Okay, a couple rapid fire questions. When will Coinbase sell XDC? I have no idea. I don't understand what their incentive to sell it would be. Somebody I know was asking me for a coaching session. She's met with me before. About buying XDC. And I said, I'm not going to try and change your mind about buying this asset, but I'm just curious, where did you hear about it? You know, because I don't hear about XDC.
Oh, I can tell you exactly where she hear about it.
Where'd she hear about it?
Listen, Evan, it's a ticker.
You told me she had a friend.
No, it's a ticker that starts with X. And it is in the XRP, XLM, XDC shill group, the shill trio of X tickers in 80% of the TikTok lives.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to make a video about this because what I said to her is like, maybe you can help me think through this. I want to make a video that invites people to think about, you know, you're coming to me to ask for help, or you go to trust people on social media. You know, you don't have to take it for faith. I work here. I have friends who work at I have friends who work at Stellar. We know people who've worked at or work at Ripple or whatever, you know, you name it. Like we can get in touch with people who are building these things. Not that we have a monopoly on the truth, not that we're some special guys. But don't you think if XDC was going to be the future of finance, that somebody like us, our colleagues, all these people who have access to like the best information in the industry, Chris Dixon, Evin McMullen, would be selling their houses to go buy XDC? And the fact that they're not, which I would point to, just like, you know, here, let me just very quickly share this on screen. CoinGecko.
Okay.
If you go to XDC, you can see that there's just not a lot of volume for this token on pretty much any exchange, and certainly not any of the major exchanges where somebody in like the United States would get it. So, you know, come let us reason together, you and I. What makes you think when all these people who really are like, you know, here in a big way, powerful and influential, don't hold it? We could look these wallets up that do hold it. What makes you think that you need to buy it? I really want an honest answer to that question, and I don't know that I have it, and I don't know that I've met anybody that can give it to me.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate for a second.
I would love that.
And I honestly do not believe that everything I'm about to say is like unfair. I don't want this to sound like I'm just saying this to like poke fun, because I think these are like valid things to question, and sure. I'm a champion of skepticism.
Love it.
If you are a skeptic, I believe that you're more right than you are wrong. But I would say that as a skeptic, you do owe it to yourself to be receptive to hearing validation, proof, or information that you may be like, have been hoping wouldn't happen because you were secretly hoping for a different outcome to be true. You have to at least be receptive. But in that world, I would say, first of all, if part of the story and the narrative around these things is that these things are being suppressed and purposely kept away from us because of the desire for people to be secretly accumulating, which is extremely fair to say, because we know we've seen enough proof to know that American, specifically traditional financial institutions, for years poo-pooed on Bitcoin publicly while privately loading up on it. And
sure.
even I'm looking at you, JP Morgan, cucks, like specifically saying that you should stay away from this while messaging high net worth clients of theirs and being like, you guys might want to pay attention to this Bitcoin thing. It's going to be big. And buying it themselves. So totally valid. That's probably the biggest, most compelling reason that I have seen and would say has any kind of validity that, you know, because what's the most common thing that you see about XRP? Like prices being suppressed, prices being suppressed, prices being suppressed. Never mind that price suppression for XRP sometimes comes from Ripple. It's coming from inside the house. But I just think, I mean, that's worth at least like being aware of or
and
thinking
engaging
about.
with. I'm trying to figure out how I can represent that viewpoint. You know, one of my favorite things to do in a good video is to anticipate the question somebody's going to ask and answer it for them in a non-judgmental, you know, helpful way. And I would say, like, okay, you're right. You're right. Bitcoin even still doesn't have like the full blessing of institutional backers, even though they're kind of coming on board. And that was the whole point. It was a grassroots, like open source thing. I would say the difference is that Bitcoin solved a real technical problem. It created a scarce, decentralized, digital form of value that didn't rely on any kind of central intermediary, a bank or a government. And so people who wanted to could have something they could trade for other currencies like dollars for the first time. And that gave it some credibility. Like, it's not food, water, shelter, but in a world where money is, you know, the key to pretty much all the freedoms we want to fully experience life, that gives it some credibility, even if others didn't see the value of it. And I would say XDC is one of many products that was launched with like a token first. It was an ICO boom coin.
Definitely.
And so then they tried to like build partnerships around it later. And that's kind of like the opposite.
These things can be verified. Like if you ask, okay, how do you talk about that? How do you verify that? How would I encourage someone to like, what would I say you should look at to try to make that determination? That is why I will continue to void scream that reading Blockchain Explorers is the most important skill you can have in this industry, because you do not have to take my word for it. And you can tell me that you don't trust the chain. That's fine, but admit that. And that's a problem with the chain. Go get the information from the chain itself. come back and talk to me. Because if I was to say Solana has more users than Hedera, you can argue with me all you want.
Right, but
the data doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do we love saying now? The facts don't care about your feelings. The data doesn't give a shit what you think. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, I always like to say whether or not you believe it doesn't make it true.
Yes.
Or untrue.
But also with any of the X things, if that's been your only exposure to hearing people talk about this and they sound sure and you're like really trying to make an improvement financially, and this feels like it makes so much sense because they're saying the right things, just know that sometimes, and this happens with a lot of crypto, you can learn how to say the right things in order to swindle an audience, to keep people more beholden to coming back to you over and over and over and over again for more and more and more information.
Yeah, and often there's an incentive to do that. Also,
for sure,
this conversation reminds me of one of my favorite word acronyms that I haven't gotten to use in a while, which is PUPO. Ponzi until proven otherwise. A lot of tokens are just pupos. Pupo, hell no. Alex, have you heard of Banker? We had a comment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is one of those things.
Banker and Clanker.
I love them both. And I think this is a good example of like something else that like got grassroots adoption, that I know people who are like, dude, Banker is one of the most killer apps in crypto. It's a crypto assistant.
It's
like one of these other AI things that lets you buy, sell, send, store any kind of digital asset with like natural language. Hey,
it's a product that you can use and it works.
Yeah. Buy $100 of ETH, bridge 0.1 ETH to Solana and send it to Alex. Here's his address or whatever. You know what I mean? And it executes it for you. I don't know how they manage private keys. That's my question. I haven't really
Don't worry about it. I would be curious to ask Nathan that tomorrow, just in general, like as a concept, because obviously, you know, one of the things that Foundation is working on is, you know, private key management for the purpose of inheritance and recovery.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
He might have an idea. That's who I would ask.
I would ask him, and I would ask Mike, our friend. Also, did you see it earlier? He said when you were talking about your tax app, he said, Alex, I will audit the code for your tax app.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. He said he would do it for 1 lock of hair, 1 hour for at the rate of 1 lock per hour.
I will absolutely sell stuff for locks of Evan's hair. Absolutely. Yes.
And I would absolutely sell my hair for stuff. The going rate right now is half of your ETH, Mike.
Specifically auditing my code.
Auditing Alex's code. I will pay you to audit Alex's code so I don't have to hear about it. Okay, we're almost at that time where we're going to ride our dogs and ponies, our cats and cows into the sunrise. So if you've got a final question, I did see a couple in the comments that I was like, oh, I got to ask that later. And then I forgot to come back to. So don't hesitate to post it again. And then let us know if you want to see something crazy, if you want to see something, I don't know, you know, maybe if you give us half your ETH like Robot Steckler here and it turns out to be worth it, then I will get an actual cat and ride it into the sunset or something like that. What you got, Alex? I saw a question here about the distinction between Morpho and Uniswap and Aero from U4TM. And I think I explained it in the comments, but rapid fire, tell me, what's the difference between Uniswap, Morpho, and Aero?
Sure.
And more specifically, when we get to Uniswap and Aero, tell me why they're different.
So the first distinction I would make is between Uniswap and Aero and Morpho. Uniswap and Aero are decentralized exchanges. They are platforms that facilitate the swapping of cryptocurrency. And there's other things you can do there, but that's primarily the purpose. Morpho is a borrowing and lending protocol. The primary purpose of using that platform is to either supply cryptocurrency that can be used to collateralize loans and borrowing, or on the flip side, you can borrow assets as well, collateralizing them with your own assets. You can usually earn yield. There are yield earning opportunities on all of them. So a similarity would be that, you know, in a world you could.
You're in podcast land. I just threw my phone off the desk trying to answer a comment. Sorry about that. Yes, I'm good. Go ahead.
In a world where you are interested in earning yield, you know, the ever present chasing of passive income using your assets to earn more money, putting your money to work for you. You can do that on both in different ways, but the end result can be the same. So, you know, I can supply my USDC to Morpho in a vault. I can earn interest, or I could provide liquidity on Aerodrome or Uniswap and earn interest in that.
Correct.
Mostly that's it.
It was mostly that's it. And you can participate in governance on both the protocols too. And I really would, I'll say it, a third time. I really do recommend that episode of Unchained Crypto. It's the second most recent episode where you'll hear more about this distinctions between Uniswap as an exchange and Aerodrome, Moonwell, other exchanges like it too. And they're a critical piece of crypto infrastructure. If you don't know how to swap tokens, we got a lot of resources on that. Exchanges like Uniswap will help you get access to tokens that you can't get on, say, Coinbase, for example.
Really good follow-up question.
Yep.
From Tango Master 2.
Love the name. Oh,
not one.
There are two.
Well, maybe. I don't know. But they ask, Morpho is a new company. Risky? Question mark. Good question. And you're right to be skeptical. This is another one of those instances where skepticism is your friend. However, luckily, there's a ton that you can read about Morpho and how much money is on that platform from where it has come, and kind of what has happened there since and what they've been involved in and with. And in this world of cryptocurrency, one of the favorite like buzzy talking points is like who's partnered with who. Chainlink infamously has 28 million partners, wherein most of those are just people who, it's just their client list. It's like who uses their services. Is it really a partnership? No. But with Chainlink, that's a bad example because that is bullish. Like a gajillion people use their services. But with Morpho, you can go look up and see how many things like, use Morpho for vault security for stuff. So yes, definitely ask questions about it. But if you wanted to see and compare, you could look at Aave compared to Morpho, or Spark, or who are the other big borrowing and lending protocols with more seniority over.
I don't know.
And honestly, Morpho's not even really that new. The new thing that the reason that people might have discovered them more recently is because they incorporated Base, whereas prior to that, they were an Ethereum only protocol, but they've been around for a minute. They are not really that new in the crypto.
Well, and one of the unique
terms.
things about them is they launched their mainnet in December, I think, 2022. Somebody fact check me. So like the depth, like we really hit the bottom then. So they were building through the bear market. They raised money and sent their token live. Their token is new at the end of last year. So you may be thinking their token is new, but their smart contracts are some of the best in the game. And just generally speaking, Alex, aren't we so bullish on people who like actually build and ship products in bear markets? Those are the real ones. Like that is so smart. They raised from great partners and they've been around. You can audit their stuff. That's the best part is, like Alex said, you don't have to take our word for it.
Yeah. I am very bullish on people who build things in bear markets. I just wish that they would also tell people about the things that they build in bear markets.
I'd like to hear more from our friend Captain Blue in the comments, who said that they think they're being scammed. And I can't understand the follow-up about my friend said, hey, this platform lets you like TikTok and others and you. The comments are limiting, but maybe this is a good time to give our bumper sticker.
Yep.
If you are watching this show, wherever you are, whenever you listen, you're probably going to get follow requests from people who look like us, but they are not us. You'll probably get comments. You'll probably get DMs. It is a known and unfortunate problem on social media, especially in the crypto space, that scammers will leverage the trust we've built by impersonating us and other creators you follow to try and take your money. We will never directly message you, ever. You got to find us and follow us. That's why we always are saying, go to rumshq.com, go to rumshq.com, jump in the community, because we want to give you the official channels where you know you can find us, where the scammers cannot come. It is common that they will lead you to a bad website. They'll tell you your wallet isn't safe. And usually they'll have an interface that's like a website or an app, promising passive income or to trade for you or something like that. And you get in, you send them money and they're like, look, here's your money. It's growing. And maybe they even have an interface to move it around for you.
That's
maybe
what this is.
Okay. Yep. I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, Captain Blue. This is a very common kind of scam. the one we're describing. It's called pig butchering. And I would really encourage you to look that term up, because what happens is, in the event that you send somebody crypto, that dollar is gone the second you send it. Almost never does anybody get that money back, but there are some steps you need to take. You need to report it, that website, that account, to IC3, the letter IC3.gov. That's the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. And your local authorities to establish a record of the crime that can help bring the scammers to justice. You probably won't get the funds back, but you need to look up pig butchering scams. And I know this can be very isolating, but I really want you to jump into the Rise Up community. You can tap our faces or tap the link in the description wherever you're listening to this to find rumshq.com. The very first link on that page is going to take you to our free educational community where you can connect with other learners at all levels of experience, many of whom are survivors of scams like this, who know the signs and will never be taken advantage of this way again. It's a great place to get a second opinion. It's a great place to share a link before you click it and to educate yourself, because the best thing we always say about these scams is that they're totally preventable if you know what to look for. So I'm very, very sorry that happened to you. Alex, do you have any other tips or tricks or things to think about on that note?
Honestly, it's the $1 million question. I think about it all the time. Like, what do you say to try to help in the most effective way possible? I'm telling you, just honestly, until you are confident in your ability to navigate this space and anything like all of this kind of stuff, just don't have private conversations with people about that involve your money. Don't respond to DMs. Don't respond to emails. Don't let someone redirect you from a comment section into a private communication channel like WhatsApp or Telegram or DMs somewhere. Do not speak in private to people about this stuff. And I guarantee that you will avoid 99.9% of the scams that exist in this space. If you just, that's why we say the only place that I would love to DM people and say thank you for gifts and reach out and say, just connect more with people, but it's just not safe. And that sucks, but it's just not safe. So the only place that we will ever communicate with anyone is in public, either right here while we are physically standing here in our respective offices talking to you, or in the community in the general chat. But if someone ever tries to pull you into a DM or a private comms channel, assume it's a scam and block it. It's not worth it. It sucks, but that's the way it is. Yeah,
okay.
That sucks. I'm glad you said something.
I am too.
Before you sent any more.
I am too.
Cut them off.
Cut them off and then have some compassion for them, because I learned recently that a lot of the people perpetrating these scams are victims themselves. If you want to learn more about this, look up the work of Aaron West, Operation Shamrock, and the Stolen podcast. They had a great story about a man who was trafficked into slavery to work on a compound where he spent his days and nights, often without food, often under threat of punishment, sometimes at the point of torture, to scam people.
Yeah.
It's miserable.
It's that the pool of victims is humongous. I mean, it's the case when I worked in law enforcement for a hot minute. We would I worked in counter drug enforcement specifically, and happened all the time. You'd arrest somebody, they were relieved to see you because they hadn't eaten in over a week. And they thought maybe perhaps there was some chance of getting out of this. And it was just they're just happy to see. They had no clue what was in their boat. They were just the poor person that was stuck at the steering wheel of a boat and told to drive that way, probably until the US government arrested them. But yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. Okay.
I did see someone earlier say they have 219 Coach JVs in their inbox. And I said, only 219, you're killing it. You're doing great.
You're doing great. I that's the one I get all the time now. Ever since I made a couple of videos talking to people who are specifically interested in XRP, Coach JV is everywhere. You blocked when I saw it. You got to it before I did on the live.
I've muted 3 this stream alone. And listen, he really doesn't do himself any favors because he speaks in the most fantastical ways about the ever impending financial, like according to that dude, the biggest revolution of our lifetimes is always about a week away.
Yeah.
And it has been for years. And he's never once acknowledged, like, he's like that, you know, that Parks and Rec episode with the cult?
Of course not.
Okay, I know. It's a TV show.
Watch that show.
Anyway, there's a cult. And they rent the park every year for their new apocalypse party. And every year something happens where the apocalypse doesn't happen. Go figure. So they re-rent the park the following year and the conversation is really funny because they like walk into Leslie's office and the guy has like the good book of their religion. And he's like, hey, Leslie, listen, because it's at the end of the party. He's like, listen, I was going back through the numbers and I realized it actually meant next August. and Leslie's like, listen, I'm really sorry, but unfortunately next August there's like this event happening in the park, so I can't give it to you at that time for the thing. And he's like, oh, wait, no, May? And she's like, yeah, that'll work. And he's like, okay, May. Yes, that's when it is. That's the vibe.
Yeah, that's exactly the vibe. Is Gen XRP Ray with the beard and you don't know? I don't know. Somebody asked, what are your thoughts on Gen XRP? I don't know. Here are my thoughts on every crypto creator. I wish them well, like Evin McMullen, though she was classier about it than me. I wish them all well. I want them all to tell you a better story. I see them all as our allies, not our adversaries, because that's the most important thing we can do. It's up to all of us to tell a better story, and we try our best to model what that could look like. Cosmic and Will are going to model what that could look like tomorrow in their debate. Caveman's going to do his best to model what it looks like. There are many creators who are, they're all, I believe, doing their best. But, you know, we're picky. I work with Alex every day and now with Will, because if I was going to go on a live broadcast and then my leg got broken and I had to send Alex in, there's absolutely, I don't have a single hesitation in the world. I know he's got the same values I have. I would give him the keys to the whole kingdom. If something happened to me and Kimberly couldn't figure it out, I've got instructions to call Alex. You know, he will help you recover my crypto because I know he's not going to, screw with my private keys. It'll be fine.
And this is my long game.
You know, surprise.
I've been working for no pay with Evin for years
to get that Bitcoin money, baby.
To someday get his Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're very stingy about it, but we want everyone to tell you guys a better story. And we're working on finding ways to collaborate with other creators. We want to have, as part of our live cohort coming up here, we would love to have more creators in that cohort, because we recognize there are a lot of creators who want help with their setup, with how to be better broadcasters, and just, to talk, to start raising the ethical bar for like, what is the standard we're going to hold ourselves to? Because not all do your own research is created equal. And not financial advice is not a helpful or effective disclaimer. I don't know. What do you want to say about that?
The DYOR is lazy and bullshit advice when it's not accompanied with what the hell does that mean and how do you do the research? Because like someone asks you for the definition of a word or a project they've never heard of, and you're like, I don't know, figure it out. Wow, thanks so much, dude. That's really helpful. And then NFA is also the dumbest thing ever. If you ever find yourself in a position where you're telling someone, but that's not financial advice, it's probably because you just gave them financial advice and now you're self-conscious about it. I specifically don't say that because I just don't give financial advice that I don't have to disclaim. Sometimes I'll literally say like, no, that is financial advice because it genuinely is. But no, I can't wait until hashtag NFA ends up in a courtroom and someone tries to tell a judge that they can't be sued for whatever because they had hashtag NFA on the video. And then you'll see how nonsense that actually is.
Don't come for me.
DYOR is lazy, NFA is bullshit.
I think that's a good final thought to end on.
Amen.
You feel good about that?
Yes.
Well, everybody, you've done it again.
Print that on a shirt for me for the next conference. DYOR is lazy, NFA is bullshit. That's my next conference shirt.
Oh, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. We got to go. You can find all our other episodes wherever you are, whenever you listen. Get the official link at rumshq.com. And please, especially you, Captain Blue, I am talking to you and anybody who is in the listening audience who resonated with that story of pig butchering, whether you're in denial, you're not sure, you just want a second opinion, come to the Rums community. I am telling you, everything we have learned through hard work, lost money, lost time, you can learn faster, cheaper, and in the company of good friends. The only thing missing is you. And we're going to be back right here tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Can't wait, my friends. Until then, everybody stay safe, be well, rise up.